Thank you for joining me here today. I am always your host, Travis Schaefer, the owner, proprietor, whatever, of this YouTube channel that I love so much. But with me today, I actually have a couple special guests, as you can tell by the title down there somewhere, because this is not pre-recorded whatsoever. This is totally going live when I said it's going live. So, yeah. Anyway, but with me today, I have... Yep, wrong button.
What's up?
Calvin T. Sheperd and Jasmine Day, the writer, director, and star of Safe House 1618. Almost had that wrong. Just got done seeing the movie a couple days ago. Love this thing. Love what y'all did.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I gotta ask, what was the filming process of this like? Because this had to be a small space to kind of work around. So this, what was that process like, both as director and actor?
Well, I mean, it was kind of the idea from the get go. You know, it was COVID timing. You know, and we needed small cast and small space and to work in that environment. So that's what we did, is we set the whole thing up for it to be small. And it was very, I mean, I slept on my smallest couch for 2 weeks, and people took up my master bedroom and the second bedroom, which were both in the movie. I mean, we wrote it for this apartment, and then, and then it was very tight, and it was 12 days. It was 12 straight days, and we were done.
It was like one big cast and crew sleepover at the Safe House. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, to be a fly on the wall during some of those nights would have been probably funny.
Oh,
Very.
It was insane. It was, I mean, there was just time. I mean, we were so tired, but also just having so much fun at the exact same time.
Mm-hmm.
So
you get to the nights where you've been shooting all day long, and then you're sleeping for a couple hours, getting up in the morning, and then you're delusional and everybody's laughing.
Some of your nights are not nights at all. You sleep from like 8 a.m. till like 3 o'clock, and then you go back to set.
Yeah.
And by set, you mean go back to the living room? Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, there were other places.
Well, yeah, but you know, mostly living room.
Yeah, mostly living room. Well, and that was it too. Like, it was moving equipment from one room to the other room, depending on which room it was going to be. So, like, okay, we got to move to the master bedroom. Move everything out of there into the room we just filmed in, real quick. Everyone on deck. So,
that sounds. I wouldn't say like a nightmare because I've never done it, but you know, definitely sounds like a fun time.
It was a best dream nightmare ever.
Yeah.
Not sure there's a word for that, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could definitely tell you guys had a lot of fun with this based off of just a couple of a lot of the chemistry between the cast. I could definitely tell.
Mm-hmm.
So, Calvin, first question is actually for you. When coming up with, I'm not going to go into spoilers here, but the guy, we'll call him.
Yeah.
What was that process like? Because there was a lot of similarities. I actually told you about some of the similarities I thought I caught. Even with my limited horror knowledge, but how did you want to make that different from Silent Killer number 15 over there in Hollywood?
Yeah. Well, actually, so what I started with was, of course, the slasher character, right? And I started with that, and I wanted to put that into a crime film. I mean, I wanted to look at the rules of a crime film, right? If you're on the run, don't contact your family or anybody you're in a relationship to, because that's who the cops are looking for first. But also in a slasher film, don't have sex, because that, you know, so the relationship of being, you know, in connection with somebody else is what gets you killed. So I wanted to blend those two elements, and that's where I started. And then from there, I started kind of coming up with the whole 2020 allegory type stuff that we did. So I looked back to a lot of older films like Mask of the Red Death and Seventh Seal to look at what a personification of a plague was. And so if you left the house, the disease would find you, follow you home, and kill your whole family. So it started there, and so I mean that's pretty much how I came up with that character. And he I didn't want him to be person at all. I wanted him to be that. I wanted him to be just this thing that will find you if you walk out your front door.
Now, I do appreciate the from that description of the process of creating this character. I did appreciate the entire garbage bag from poncho with the duct tape. I'm like, this dude leaves literally no trace.
Yeah, and I'm glad that
done.
I did get the note a couple of times. It's like, aren't trash bags loud? But I mean, yeah, they're loud. But it was really great because I kept on set. Everyone called him the trash man. Everyone called him the trash man, and I felt bad about that at first. Like, people were calling him the trash man. And then me and the colorist Garrett Brady were watching this movie called Torso from the 70s in Italy. And when first time the killer pops up, he goes, "That's the sock man." And I'm like, okay, I don't feel as bad anymore.
Trash man.
Trash man, sock man. Yeah, it's okay.
Like, if that great of a movie can end up getting called the sock man, then I can take the trash man here and there.
That's that's actually pretty funny. That's actually really cool. So Jasmine, this question is actually for you. When it comes to Jo, she has a story unto herself that kind of predates, so to speak, in universe where we find her at the beginning to everything as it slowly unfolds. What was the process for you to get into that the mindset of that character? Because it was very much, there was PTSD even before the inciting incidents for this character. So walk us through that mindset. What was that process like for you?
Yeah, so one of the reasons why I love working with Calvin so much is that as a director, he makes sure that all of his actors, we really, really go hard into the anything before we set foot in front of the camera. We really delve deep into character development, and we were talking about things that would never pop up in the script, would never nothing that we'd ever think of, and we're like, man, what does Jo like to eat for breakfast? It gets down to that sort of specific stuff, So we really went in. This was the most I've ever done for character development for a character ever, and concentrating on that PTSD stuff. It's always a difficult transition as an actor to be able to get into that mindset, and I sort of had lots of habits and mindsets. As an actor, I like to listen to a lot of music, so I'll make character playlists for it, and I'll be like, oh, this song is that I need to get in the headspace for this scene. Lots of music, lots of, actually, one of my favorite things that I did was throughout the whole movie, Jo is really paranoid, and, no spoilers, but she's checking out the window, she's looking around, thinking always gotta be on our feet because we can't get caught. We cannot get caught. Yeah. So I would carry around this little journal, and I would tell everybody to leave me alone. And I would just be sitting at the table, just blasting music, writing furious, and they're like, "What are you writing?" And it's just complete nonsense. Somebody's gonna come get us, and I'm looking out the window, and there's a white truck that just passed by. What time is it? It's 12:15. Okay, now it's 12:16, and there's a woman walking, and it's just lists and lists and lists, and just just writing paranoia. And that's how you kind of it sounds crazy, but after a while, then you start feeling like you're really, really paranoid. So the worst part is now every time I'm at the apartment, safe house over here, I'm sitting on the couch, and then I'm like, why do I want to look out the window? So I've just conditioned myself to that, I guess. But lots of really in-depth, we talked about the relationship between the three sisters. Jo is closest to the oldest sister, Lee, because we sort of talked about this whole thing what was our dynamic with our parents? Well, Lee was kind of Jo's sort of parental figure, and how does that relationship affect how I act around Lee versus how I would act around Janie, the middle sister? So it's just these very minute details of relationships everywhere. Yeah.
I mean, whatever work you put into it, it really comes through on the other side of the screen, if you will, because it's very much. I was like, I've been there, so I don't feel as bad about it now. So it's there. It definitely tracks. It's definitely good work.
Thank you.
Now, of course. Now, back to Calvin for this one. When it came to casting, again, the guy, I very much caught a Killian Murphy vibe.
Really? Okay.
Was that something that kind of seeped in almost naturally, or was that just?
So the guy who plays No One, the killer, is named. His name is Ryan Fredericks, and Ryan and I have worked together on one thing and then another thing that never got finished because of COVID. And I know where he can go. I know where he's been. I met him. I remember this very clearly. I went to at UNC where we went to school. I went to a series of one-act plays. And he was on stage, and I just remember he's playing this abusive husband, and like there's a scene, I remember him taking a bottle and smashing it on the ground, and I'm like, I'm putting that guy in movies because he goes so, and I mean, what that guy can do with dialogue is incredible. So like when I came to him and I felt awful, like, look, I really think you're perfect for this character, but he doesn't have a single line of dialogue through the entire movie. And he took it in stride. And I think, he did an incredible job. And I mean, just this, even behind the mask, the subtle movements, and just, it was exactly what I wanted to see from that character. And I'm really, really happy that he didn't go, I have no lines, fuck you, Calvin. Oh, I don't know if I should say that, but I'm really glad he didn't, because he was crazy awesome. So
Yeah, like I said, it definitely shows. It's just, and I told you about this offline before we started this. I'm so glad I changed salad brands now, just because it's like I know what that is. I used to eat that. I'm glad I don't anymore. So
oh yeah,
thankful for that.
That was fun.
But yeah, so now obviously there are a couple of matches, and I'm going back to this. I think I've already asked this question. Now I think about it. Yes, I did. Awkward. So that does it as far as that goes. Getting into some lighter stuff, like what were some of the funnier things that might have happened behind the scenes that no one really has privy to?
Well, Jasmine had a bruise from like here to here for like 3 days of the shoot, and we don't have any clue at what point we got hit because we were just going so much.
At some point, I got clocked in the face,
and the adrenaline must have kept her from actually feeling it, because it was in the scene where it had to have been. It was in the truck scene towards the end where No One and her were having that truck scene. I hope that's not too spoilers.
No spoilers.
But
no. I think that's light enough to where it's like it's vague. So you're not saying when.
But at some point she got whacked, and we don't know when. But just like the next day, her whole face was purple from like here to here. So did you have to put makeup on over it, or what happened?
So luckily, Joe looks like a garbage fire the entire time. She's paranoid. She's not sleeping. She's sleeping on the floor because Jamie kicked her off the bed. Like, Joe's not having a great time, right? So luckily, I didn't have to look perfect anyway. But then I was like, well, I can't just have a bruise showing up from nowhere in the middle of the scenes. So I covered it up. And then for some scenes where I had to look a little rough, then take the makeup off, and I have a convenient, very real bruise that wasn't makeup.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say anything, but now I may have to go back and double check. Like, oh damn, that's real.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be.
Well,
that's definitely gonna be fun.
Say that you can't help but happen.
Yeah.
Jasmine and I have an understanding, because we work together pretty well, that I'm going to pull a couple set pranks here and there.
Yeah.
And so that happened a couple times. one of them.
Oh, you just opened a can of worms. Tell me about one or two of these pranks, please. This just sounds fun.
There was a scene where there was a bunch of dialogue that wasn't written down, and it was supposed to be just a flashback. I wrote the flashback out. We filmed that the day before the scene, and then she was supposed to introduce the flashback, and then we'd show the flashback. But then I told her, look right at the camera. You experienced that yesterday. Tell us exactly what happened. And that she had no clue that was going to happen.
Which, mind you, I asked him right before we started. I'm like, just to make sure, like, we're cutting after this, right? Like, we're cutting it, and then I can just go calm down out of character, right? He's like, yeah.
Well, but I also warned her beforehand there was a bunch of things that were going to be unexpected as we go through this movie. One of them, when she was climbing into the truck, we had no one just grab her. I told her, we're going to cut right as soon as you climb into the truck, and then we, of course, didn't cut. We just kept going. But he also had no idea that she didn't know that he was going to grab her. So it looked more real than
some of those screams were very real, and I was terrified.
So very much a we're gonna drop you on 3 kind of moment from Die Hard.
1, 2, drop.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, granted, I gave him out. He was like, I need your written permission to, like, I'm pulling pranks on you, so just know what's happening. I didn't know when it was happening, but
yeah.
Yeah, if there's any paperwork, just get real suspicious all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And man, that was so much fun. Man, what else happened that we have kind of like a small blooper-ish reel of funny things that happened, but I mean, as of right now, this is Set Dog. She can't help but be loud if she's put away, so she comes and says
that's fine.
hi.
We welcome all kinds of people, animals, and furry creatures.
She's here the whole time, so
that's nice. So before we wrap this up here, and we're coming up on 20 minutes, would you all mind if we played a quick game of just kind of like Would You Rather? And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's do it.
Sweet. All right. So the first one, just kind of get everything kind of warmed up, kind of on a jokier note. Would you rather take on 10 bat-sized Batmen or 1 crowbar-sized Red Hood?
I think I'd take on the Red Hood. I think 100%. I mean, first of all, Batman's Batman. He's gonna win.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what size he is. Batman's
always win the fight.
Yeah.
So take on the crowbar-sized Red Hood.
I agree.
And if I could find a crowbar, I'm gonna win no matter what. So actually, that's funny you asked that. When Jasmine and I were in college, there was a band that they were kind of doing, and I'm not musically inclined at all. But I thought it'd be funny to write a song, and I wrote a song called "Jason Todd Was Killed by a Crowbar."
It's very catchy.
Jason Todd was killed by a crowbar.
That's the song.
That's the whole thing.
I can't wait to hear when it's finished.
I don't think it'll ever be finished.
All right, well, that's very funny. All right, so now in context of Safe House 1618, who would you rather have defending you from no one? Daredevil or Beast Boy?
Who's least likely to leave their house? I think Beast Boy's a homely body. Like, if he could just stay home, like at the Teen Titans Tower, and just eat food the whole time, there's a definite chance that no one's not going to find us.
Okay, we have a slight issue, though.
Huh.
No one is completely silent.
So,
Yeah,
so we're definitely going to have to go with Beast Boy.
We're going to have to go with Beast Boy on that one.
He's completely silent, but he's silent enough.
He's silent enough. That's a disadvantage for Daredevil.
That's kind of like, I want to put 2 super senses together. Which one would have a slightly better chance?
Well, and I love the scene in that in the second season where he's like, I got a problem. They're not making any sounds. Oh, that was because it was like legitimately scary. Like, what the fuck is he going to do?
Yeah.
Doing that.
All right, so this is going to be the last one here before we wrap this up. If you had to spend an entire night, and this is nothing, you're the only person, there's no tech activated, nothing. Would you rather spend an entire night in an abandoned Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters or an Avengers Tower?
Avengers
Tower for sure.
Yeah, I'd end up in an Iron Man suit before the morning. I figure out I'm getting into it. I don't care. I'll just find that shit around the fucking city. Or I guess I can't leave, but as soon as that sun comes up, I'm out. And like you have to throw the shield once, right? You have to see if you can throw it.
I want to see if I can pick up the hammer. Am I worthy?
Cerebral work if you don't have like the power to. Well, maybe like. I got a slight sixth sense about things. Maybe I put that thing on, and maybe I would be able to reach out. Maybe I don't know. Now I'm thinking. But I try Cerebro out. See if I can. I'll probably fry my brain.
You fry your brain.
Well, considering you need that, I think the safer choice would be Avengers Towers. There's no.
Yeah, we need
Either way, I feel like
right.
I end up killing myself with one of these super powered things that I just take not seriously at all. I'm like, I gotta try this out and that out.
And then
they come back. It's like
anymore.
Yeah.
It's like they come back, Cap shields in a wall with like a laser around it. I was trying to cut it out.
I was trying to clean it up before you guys came back.
I thought you didn't notice.
Oh yeah, but thanks guys. This has been a blast. I hope everyone gets a chance to see this movie. It is phenomenal for a non-horror fanatic like I am. This is an amazing film. Wish y'all nothing but the best. And to everyone else, go see this movie if it's at a festival near you. Find it; it's worth watching. I get the feeling this will be a definite cult classic if it gets further distribution.
Thank you so much.
Well, fingers crossed. I'm putting good vibes out in the universe for you, but I'm only a channel with like 13 people, so
I'm hoping it's the beginning. So
yeah.
All right. Well, thanks guys. Thank you for your time, and thank you for watching. And we'll catch y'all down the road.
Thank you.